Oof. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Uh, I had an interesting one. I'll just give my Thanksgiving story real fast. So, obviously, Thanksgiving was Thursday. We're recording this on Monday. I usually have like a pretty big, not huge Thanksgiving, just like immediate family kind of thing. Usually lunch kind of bleeds into dinner if people are still hanging around. But everyone got sick, I guess. My auntie and like my cousin guys got all sick. So we ended up having a super last minute Thanksgiving, just my family, and then a couple of my cousins that are here right now. So we had like a impromptu, you know, last minute Thanksgiving lunch. And usually you don't have to worry about dinner on Thanksgiving, usually, I would think, because it's like the leftovers will carry over. But this is the first time I had a Jack in the Box dinner Thanksgiving. So definitely pretty interesting. I mean, I made up for it. We made up for it yesterday. So, everyone came over, brought all the food they were supposed to make anyway. So it ended up not being too bad. I ended up getting my Thanksgiving food yesterday. Eventually. So it wasn't too bad overall. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. Matt, how's your Thanksgiving?
Thanks for asking because I had a great Thanksgiving. This was the best Thanksgiving since I think it was 2018. Best Thanksgiving since 2018. And I think we
Best
know why, right?
Thanksgiving.
I think we know why.
Yeah, I think we definitely know why. So let's get into it. We will start as we do every show with the Cowboys. So it was a good Thanksgiving. That means the Cowboys won. They haven't won on Thanksgiving in quite some time. I think it's been what 4 or 5 years, right, Matt? So
4 years.
it's been four sad Thanksgivings for Matt. He finally gets a good one. So I know he's had to wait extra long since they played on Thursday. It's a Monday now. So Matt, why don't you give us the rundown reaction? How are you feeling after a big win against the Giants?
I wouldn't say I'm on cloud nine like I was against Minnesota, but I'm happy. I'm very happy. Um, this game was really a tale of two halves and a tale of two teams that you saw on display. So first half was a disaster. We can fast forward. I'll talk about the halftime show. I didn't even watch the halftime show. I was so mad what I was watching. I was like, I don't care about the Jonas Brothers. I could give two rats about what they're doing right now in AT&T. My team stunk, and it was from the start. It was from the very start. I think McCarthy. This is typical bad Mike McCarthy, right? And this is something that we're going to talk about later in the pod about coaching decisions, right? Fourth down, 4th and 2, right? Going for it really early. We don't get it. The Giants get 3 free points to start the game. They should have got 7, but Dallas got lucky because the Giants got penalized. But they get 3 points early, and then we come back right down the field, and Dak, being bad Dak, throws a pick. And it was a pretty awful pick, too, because with the way the play was kind of drawn up, it looked like Dallas thought they got New York to jump off sides. So everybody thought it was a free play. It's the scramble drill, right? You just run deep, get the deep ball, but they didn't jump off sides. And I'm looking at Dak and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, one, Michael Gallup, that was a terrible throw. Like, I don't know what Michael Gallup was going deep, but Dak was expecting him to come back. Like, there is obviously no chemistry on that play, and that's kind of concerning because Dak and Michael Gallup have been together for quite some time right now. So just to see that was just kind of ugly. Just just the ugly game. And then we get to Anthony Brown. He's probably the worst Thanksgiving player ever. If we can talk about last year when he got absolutely torched against the Raiders, but he gets mossed by Darius Slayton, which was a great catch by him. So the Giants are, moving the ball. They get big plays. Tyler Smith is just holding everyone. I mean, it's just bad to worst. And then Dak comes up, throws another pick in the second quarter. When we're driving, we're approaching the red zone. Just just killer things like that. And then Trayvon Diggs, he gets called for a critical penalty. I think it was like illegal hands to the face or something. but that negated a interception that we would have got from Donovan Wilson. So all of this ugly mess, and somehow we're down 13-7 against the Giants. And oh, by the way, they don't have their, I think, three starting linemen up front. They're missing obviously Kenny Galladay. They're missing both their starting corners, and Dak throws two picks. So this is a nightmare. I said, hell with the Jonas Brothers. I don't care about them. Get them off the stage. Like let's get the guys back on the field. And hey, I don't know. I don't know what happened in that locker room. Maybe they were watching the Jonas Brothers. I don't know, but something happened in the third quarter, and things started to look like Dallas football again. And I will say like Minnesota Dallas football. So still some penalties kind of, piling up, but Dallas was able to move the ball. Dalton Schultz came alive in the receiving game. He had two touchdowns. The Dallas defense, they started to rise to the occasion, partially in part due to Daniel Jones, who is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. Not saying that I want him on my team, but he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. He helped us out a little bit, and that was to me probably the turning point of the game. I don't know what you think. It was that fourth down and one play. They went for it after Dallas scored the touchdown to go ahead. They had Barkley in the flat, and
That
if
was
Daniel Jones, if he hits him, it's for sure a first down and
it's a lot
potentially a
more.
touchdown.
Well,
Yeah, a
could
lot
have been a
more.
touchdown, but it was definitely more than 1 yard for sure.
Yep. And then the rest is history, right? You get a stop. Dallas gets a short field. CD Lamb, 88, was just mossing Mr. Holmes. I'm sorry, bro. You have Anthony Brown treatment on Thanksgiving. You got absolutely kicked in the butt by CD that game. He was doing his thing. I said Dalton Schultz again got his second touchdown, and it was just off to the races from there. I mean, just piling it on. Dallas gets another touchdown late in the game with a Peyton Hender's shot, and then they had that little kettlebell Salvation Army celebration, which I thought was pretty cool.
The
But
whack-a-mole.
yep, the whack a mole, right? And then Micah Parsons capping off the game with another sack. It's two sacks in that game, doing Micah things. So at the end of the day, it was a good game, but there were still some things that I was a little shaky on. Obviously, the penalties. Like I don't know, Mike McCarthy, he makes promises that he can't keep, because what I remember him telling me in the offseason is they were going to clean up the penalties. That was the number one goal in the offseason, and they still lead the league in penalties. They had another 13 penalties this game for 86 yards. And if we're playing a better team like the 49ers or the Eagles, we're going to lose. We're not going to win this game. So that's a concern. Obviously, the coaching is still an issue. Mike McCarthy, making bonehead decisions in the first quarter. Kellen Moore just, he's just off and on. I kind of hope he leaves, this offseason. Somebody please hire him. But just the coaching is still a question mark. But then you look at the bright side, and this is what makes Dallas so electric, right? Let's start with the washed running back we have, or they've washed running back.
He looked good on Thanksgiving.
Hey, this was his. I
Thanksgiving
want to
Zeke.
say his best game of the year, Mr. Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, Tony Pollard. He's getting all the fame right now. Kind of had a quiet game, but the veteran stepped it up today or on Thursday. He was looking sharp. He was hitting the hole really hard. He's obviously a great finisher at the goal line. So Zeke did his thing. And, Michael Gallup is starting to, get back in rhythm after that ACL. He made some incredible catches. I thought CD is playing like wide receiver one. And, all this talk about Justin Jefferson, yeah, whatever. I like my guy. I like my guy and the way he's playing right now. We still could use Odell. I will say that. But I like what CD is doing right now. We obviously know Micah Parsons is a beast. Defensive player of the year, hands down. Dak, yeah, started off slow, but I give him credit. He bounced back in the second half, and that's what we need. I'd rather have you start slow, come back and finish strong than do the opposite. So a lot of, mixed emotions. Oh, I also got a shout out this guy too. Jake Ferguson had a very nice Zeke hurdle. Forgot to mention that one. I thought that was the play of the game. And I said when this season started that the reason why Dallas did not sign Dalton Schultz to a long-term contract is because they drafted this kid, Jake Ferguson. I think he's going to be better than Dalton Schultz in a year or two. And we saw what kind of player he is. He has that ability to kind of, find the soft spot in defenses. To me, he's a little more athletic than Dalton Schultz too. And he blocks better because I can't stand Dalton Schultz as a blocker. He's terrible. So I like what I'm seeing from Jake Ferguson. And obviously with Dalton Schultz, they got a nice 1-2 combo at the tight end position. So, at this point, we're 8-3. We're 2 games back of the Eagles. Right? We got a kind of soft spot in our schedule coming up, so we got to take care of business. But I like where we're at. We're still in the hunt for the division, even though it's getting a little dicey from 1 to 4. But I'm I'm happy with where we stand, and I'm just happy that I enjoyed the Thanksgiving this year because it's been a really sour 3 years for me. But let's go. Finally, just finally a good Thanksgiving. I'm so happy. You don't understand that Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year, and it finally felt good
Well, I know it's
to
definitely your
enjoy my
favorite
food.
holiday because you don't let anyone play Christmas music until Thanksgiving is done.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. You guys, all you guys listening out there, now it's okay to play Christmas music. You can play Christmas music now. It's okay. But any other time after that, no,
so you
no.
what about all the people that are not post Thanksgiving, post Halloween Christmas music
Oh, that's
enjoyers?
just wrong. That's just wrong because Halloween follows Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving follows Halloween. It's not Christmas.
Well, where are the
We need
Thanksgiving
to
songs?
we need to it's called Weed and Boys by Wiz Khalifa. Any Post Malone song is pretty good to me. So I think you guys get the theme, right?
There's no Thanksgiving songs. You got to be able to play some Mariah Carey and Justin Bieber. Come on.
Yeah, they can play Mariah Carey on Black Friday. That's when they can play them.
All right. Well, yeah, it was a good game from the Cowboys. I don't have too much to say other than I guess I expected Dallas to win a fairly close one. So that turned out to be the case. I guess the thing that was most surprising to me was like you said, Zeke. He showed, flashes of old Zeke. So I guess, maybe he was banged up before. He's finally feeling good again. He was running with power, hitting the holes pretty hard. So I that's just another piece for Dallas to look forward to. The only thing though, like the thing that still gets me about CD that I mean, I will give you this. He is a number one wide receiver in this league, but I'm not gonna put him in the class of the elites just yet. Like I wouldn't put him with the Jeffersons, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hills. I don't see him in that tier yet because just to me, he's still a little too inconsistent. I don't know what it is, but I swear he drops the easier ones. Didn't he have a drop in that like on Thanksgiving too? So I don't know. I don't know if it's just he loses focus sometimes because he makes the clutch catches to his credit. He makes clutch catches, difficult catches, but I just don't understand the how he's not just so more consistent because I feel like he could have, you know, just much more production. So I can't put him up there yet. He's not at Jefferson's level yet, Matt. If we're being honest, come on. Justin Jefferson,
Jefferson to me is Mr. Inconsistent because he gets all these big games and then he just comes down
but
and he gets shut down
he
by
doesn't
Trayvon
drop
Diggs.
passes though. That's
Yeah,
what
I give him credit. Yeah, he does have better hands than CD, but I'm
well,
not gonna put Jefferson on a pedestal and CD at rock bottom.
okay. Okay. I'm not saying CDs are wrong. Anyway, but yeah, it was a good display. The only thing that was pretty brutal was that Daniel Jones fourth down. To me, you just gotta make that throw. Like regardless of who you are, simple throw, check to the flat to Saquon, who has good hands, by the way, for a running back. So you put the ball pretty much anywhere near his catch range, he's gonna come up with it. But he threw it in like the most uncatchable spot. Like he had to turn around. It's low, right? And that's a hard catch, even if you're a wide receiver. So that was a pretty. I think that was, like you said, the turning point play of the game. But good for Dallas. 8-3 now, keeping pace with the Eagles. You gotta hope the Eagles, someone beats the Eagles a couple times, because even if you guys win out, right, you still probably won't get that one seed. But
My thinking is they still play the Eagles one more time at home on Christmas Eve. So if they're one game back going into that game, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. And I think the Eagles play the Titans next week.
it's
So
probably gonna be their toughest
I'm
game
crossing
the
my
rest of the
fingers
year.
that King Henry, comes through. And we play the Colts. So we need to take care of business first and foremost, but we got a shot next week to catch up in the standings.
All right, well, I guess you'll be a Tennessee Titans fan next week. But speaking
Yeah,
of
for King
Thanksgiving, Matt,
Henry.
speaking of Thanksgiving, let's get into the other games. So one game we obviously have to get to. The other exciting game on Thanksgiving was the Bills and the Lions. So, you know, a lot closer than what everyone expected, I'm sure. Buffalo ended up only winning by 3. You know, I just got to say that this theme of close games in the NFL, I mean, it's fun. It's really exciting to watch this year, I would say. Because, the Lions, we're not thinking too much of them. We know they can score at times, but do we expect them to win these close ones? Maybe not necessarily. They definitely had a chance in this one. I was impressed. Jared Goff at home this year has played really well. He puts up numbers, and Buffalo has a good defense. I know they're a little hurt, but they're still a pretty solid defense. I'd say one of the top defenses in the league. And Jared Goff, Jamal Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown put up 25 points and had a chance to take the game into overtime. But I think this was a game moving forward for the Bills. And if you're a Bills fan, it's probably really exciting to see because Josh Allen came through when you needed him most. Josh Allen's, and I should say Stephon Diggs came through when you needed him the most. He didn't have his 100-yard game, but he was still pretty active. 8 catches, 77 yards, and had the key catch to put them into field goal range for Tyler Bass. So I don't know, Matt. Is this enough for you? Or if you're a Bills fan, do you think this is you okay, he can do it. Josh Allen is capable of winning these games. Down to your last 30 seconds of the game, and he's able to make the throw that he needed to. Or do you think it's the Lions? You know, it's kind of hard to discount. What do you think? Is this enough for you?
I think so. And I didn't even need this game to say Josh Allen is clutch because I've always been kind of a Josh Allen fan as he's kind of, developed into a better passer. And you can always just look back into the playoff game last year against Kansas City, right? They were just going Allen Mahomes, toe for toe. And the only difference is Mahomes got the ball in overtime first, and Josh Allen just didn't get a chance. So you can't tell me in that game that if Josh Allen gets the coin toss or they win the coin toss, then you might have a different narrative and hey, you might have a different Super Bowl winner for. So I think I mean, it is a very good sign this year, just because the Bills and the way that they've been losing this year, it's been the Josh Allen, I guess, lack of clutchness, in those 3 games that they lost. But um, nothing really spectacular to me. It was more like, yeah, this is what I expect Josh Allen to do. And that's what good quarterbacks do. So I liked, what I saw from Mr. Allen in this game. I know it's the Lions, but you got to give them credit. Their Lions are playing pretty well right now, so they were historically on pace to be the worst defense ever. I don't think that's the case anymore. So got to give credit to Dan Campbell in that aspect. I will
Yeah,
say
yeah.
in
So
that
since
aspect.
you brought up Dan Campbell, going back into that game, right? Pretty questionable time management there at the end. Dan Campbell electing not to call timeouts there on that last drive, right? And so I guess here's the thing, right? In that situation, my thinking is you're playing the Bills, right? So you're down by 3, right? You need 3 to tie, and but you're at home. You're the underdog. You're at home, right? You got to go for the win, to me at least, right? And so especially when you know you're the underdog, that's when you want to see these teams like we saw this weekend go for 2, right? Go for 2 or be aggressive. And to me, this was playing not to lose the game at, at that time, right? Because by not taking that time out, you're saying, okay, even if we get a field goal here, we're content taking it into overtime. But to me, like you still have, I think they had 3 timeouts, right? So you
They
take
used
those.
one, so they
Oh,
had
they used
two.
one. Okay, so they had 2. But with your offense, it's not like your offense had got to nothing that whole game. You were moving the ball. Amon-Ra St. Brown, another dominant game, right? And so I just don't like that playing not to lose mentality. And Dan Campbell, I thought he was a little bit more aggressive as a head coach. I don't know if he's getting feedback from his OC or who's telling him to just bleed clock there, but I don't know, man. I don't like that not calling timeouts when you have them. If
Yeah,
if you're that
I
far
I
away too, you
agree.
know what I mean?
Because I think it was like it was third down, and then they got to 4th and 1, and they didn't call timeout. I'm like, okay, you guys gonna set up your offense, like you want to get a good play because if you don't get this 4th down, you guys lose. I think they ended up getting it, which was that it was that jet sweep to St. Brown. But I was like, okay, you should have called a timeout there. Like the game's on the line. Don't you want to get everybody on the same page, right? If you're calling no huddle, you don't want anybody to get a false start or flinch early and then like just panic, right? I just think in 4th down situations, you want everybody to be on the same page and settle everybody down. That was number one. And then number two, I think it was the very next after that first down, it was 3rd and 1. And they call like a go router. Like it was like he threw it to I think it was DJ Shark. I'm like, what are you doing? Like 3rd and 1, and you called that?
And it
Like
just
that was worse to me.
it doesn't make sense with the theme
And
of
you have
that drive
timeouts.
either.
You can
Yeah.
run.
It
Like
just
I don't
didn't
get
make
it.
it didn't make sense to me. Like, okay, you committed, right? You're gonna bleed clock. That's the plan. You're bleeding clock. You have your timeouts, right? And so I get it, right? Okay, that's how you want to do it. Commit to that. Then you come out on 3rd and 1 and throw incomplete. And it's like, so what was the whole point of not calling the timeout earlier, right? If you're
Exactly.
willing to throw to the boundary and, it's not like it was an for sure completion. That was a throw it up, hope we make a play on the ball type of throw. That wasn't a he's a wide open receiver, he's gonna catch the ball, stay in bounds kind of throw. It was so I don't understand. Like there's probably that lack of communication there. S- That just kind of cements to me the Lions. They're talented. They have some talent now, but they're still as a collective team not quite there to take that next step. I think it's been coming down to one score games, 7 points or less this whole season, really. And this weekend was a perfect example. I mean, like 6 or 7 games, I think, uh, came down to like one score. So it was a bunch of scores across the whole league that came down to one score. So I just that to me, just kind of puzzles me. And I mean, since we're talking about the coaching, Matt, real quick, we can talk about tonight's game too, right? So the Colts electing not to call timeouts as well on their last drive. Very similar situation to the Bills game. Jeff Saturday, I don't know who's telling him not to call timeouts, but it was that same scenario where uh I think they picked up the first down or something, right? And then they
Mm.
took like 20 seconds, like the whole play clock to call a play. So I'm like, and the very next play, what? Ryan gets sacked and fumbles. Should have could have lost the game right there, right? But I don't know if that's on Saturday or there's people up in the booth trying to tell him, nah, we need a bleed clock here. But to me, this is even worse because you're down 7, right? You need 6. You're not playing for no field goal, right? You got to take your time out there. Your guys have been out there, you know. Take the time out, reset everyone, and you still have a minute left. But no, he didn't call a timeout until the next play after. So it's just like what are we doing? You're gonna take 2 shots to the end zone and call your timeouts if it like are we gonna stay in bound? Like what is the game plan? And that to me is the inexperience for sure from Jeff Saturday coming out. And I mean, we talked about this hire from the jump, but I'm sure, Jeff Saturday is a great dude and he can lead men and he's been in the locker room for a long time. But to me, it's just the hiring process that still just makes no sense. Like, I think especially after tonight, if I'm a Colts player and miraculously, up until today, we're still in the playoff race. It's a lot harder for them now with 7 losses and a tie. So that's essentially 8 games of not a win, right? So now the best they can hope for is what 8-1. Um,
Yeah,
and is
eight and
that
eight.
yeah 8-1? Is that good enough to make the wild card spot at this point? Probably not. So I don't know that I'd be pretty frustrated if I'm a Colts player and I'm committed to that locker room, committed to win, and all the things everyone's been saying. Oh, he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the pedigree. For them to not call a timeout there, I'm sure it's incredibly frustrating as a player. So I don't know. It's gonna be hard. I think it's gonna be real interesting to see Colts games the rest of the year. So maybe it's good for you because maybe at this point they're all just playing for jobs. Like guys are just playing for jobs at this point, right? They know they're kind of out of the postseason race. So I don't know. Maybe it's good that the Colts lost and they'll just mail it in the rest of the season. But yeah, man, these games are so close, but I just don't get some of the coaching. All right. Well, let's get into our other 2 teams that we cover. Keep it real short and sweet on Miami. They were pretty dominant against Houston. Uh, it was a blowout by halftime. Tua pretty much didn't play the second half. Uh, the only unfortunate thing though, they lost Ron Armstead. He's gonna be out a couple weeks. That's big because Miami has their toughest stretch of games, like I've been alluding to the past couple weeks. They did what they needed to do. They're 8-3, going into December because they have an extremely tough schedule coming up. They have the Niners who are on a roll right now, so that's going to be a big game. Then they got the Chargers, Bills, Packers, Patriots, and Jets to end the year. And obviously, the whole AFC East is in the playoffs at this point. So they're all going to be tough teams. The Chargers are right there on the bubble fighting for it. Packers, who knows if Rodgers is going to be there or not. But, Jordan Love didn't look terrible, so you can't write them off either. So it's going to be definitely interesting, but hopefully they can all just get healthy and it'll be a good stretch for them to end the year. And then I didn't want to talk about the Falcons game, but
Oh
I
Jesus.
get the pain now of like being a Falcons fan. Obviously, I'm not really a Falcons fan. Just gotta cheer for Marcus because Hawaii boy, right? But uh, they lost in the most like just brutal way possible. That's probably on par. Obviously, not the same scale, but on par with the Seattle loss, right? To to the Patriots when you're dominating all game with the run, you throw it at the goal line and it gets picked, right? So I was just, upset because it's gonna look bad on Marcus, right? He got the pick. But to me, I mean, I'm not an NFL coach, I'm not a play caller, But when you're gashing them the whole game with these 5, 6 yard runs, you have 3 timeouts left. So what is like you're throwing because you think that's better than running the ball in that situation? Because you hadn't had a ton of success throwing. So why are you throwing there? Number one. Number two, even if you get stopped, you can bleed some clock because you have 3 timeouts. So if you want to leave, no time for Washington, you're hoping you can punch it in from what 2 yards out. So it was just frustrating to me. Falcons fans are pretty brutal, not gonna lie. Like they're just calling for uh like Marcus's
Ritter.
head. Yeah,
Yeah.
calling for Ritter, fire Arthur Smith, you know. I don't know. That's to me, I get like the frustration. So a lot of it is probably just frustration, but like, you know, the Falcons have been in the games this whole year. I don't know if now is the time to just switch to Ritter and just pray, right? If you want to develop him, like just let him develop and let him come in next year if that's really your goal. So I think Mark is gonna end up riding out the season and he's gonna be hated by all Falcons fans if he loses another game because then they'll be out of the playoffs. That it is what it is. But I feel bad. Probably wasn't. I don't know what kind of throw that's supposed to be, right? Like, is he supposed to throw it high? Like, is that
I don't
just one of those
I don't
things?
just I don't understand the play calling though. And it's like what you said, right? They're just running, they're getting 4 or 5 yards of carry, just slowly chipping away, getting into the end zone. And they were doing a good thing, right? They're forcing Washington to burn all their timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when Marcus threw the pick, they didn't have any
They had none.
timeouts.
They had
So
none.
you could just it's what I think it was first and goal. Let's
No, it was
see. It
second
was
and
second
goal.
and goal.
So
Second and
you,
goal, but you
you
already need a touchdown. So you got 3 plays. Why
mm-hmm.
not run the ball? Okay, if you get in, great. But if you get stopped, okay, you don't think you can get in the end zone with 2 plays on the 2 yard line and you can melt the clock down all the way? I mean, I don't understand that.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that.
That was probably this is one of the times where it's hard to I mean I can't defend Arthur Smith for that play call in that moment. I thought this whole year he's been pretty good mixing it up. He probably doesn't have the most dynamic offense. It's not flashy, it's not pretty, but it's done its job for the most part. But that one call I'm it's kind of hard to defend. I don't really have
Yeah.
anything to say for that. And Marcus at this point, we know what he is. Athletic he's like an athletic game manager at this point, right? He's not the most accurate guy. He's not gonna, dot up every team, but he does enough to keep you in games competitively. Uh the question is it the Marcus is gonna pull it out at the end or is it not? And so it's kind of the line you take with that. Unfortunately, it wasn't that this week. Um yeah, that's all I want to talk about this game. They're still in it, so there's still a chance
Yeah.
somehow because Brady does not want to win the division either. Like he had Mike Evans, he had Chris Godwin. I guess Fournette was out, but not like they were using
Julio
him.
was there too.
Julio was there, but it was Amari Cooper, your boy, coming up clutch. Oh man, do you guys miss him? Oof.
Yeah, don't remind me.
Oh, could you imagine Amari on this Cowboys team right now? Oh man, I'm sure you take Amari over
Uh,
Odell in a heartbeat.
yeah, I would. It's something called chemistry too, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
Ah,
But that NFC South, it's gonna be one of those like it could be the first 7 and 10. It could be the first 10 lost team to win a division. Think about that. That's kind of crazy. But both those teams just do not look good right now. And it's probably gonna come down to their head-to-head game. So the NFC South's gonna be just hilarious, whoever wins. All right. Well, let's just wrap up here. Last game, Packers and Eagles. So the Eagles, man, they. I think the thing to me that scares me the most, if I'm, an NFC team, is just the amount of options they have on offense that they can beat you with. And I mean, they just gashed the Packers run defense. Like it was ugly, right? What did they have, like 300 and something yards on the ground?
363
That's
yards
like playing
rushing.
against UH
UH.
UH run defense. That's crazy. To be an NFL defense and allow 300 plus yards on the ground to multiple guys, like that's just kind of unheard of, right? And so I mean, they didn't even need to use AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. So that's to me the scary thing about this Eagles team. If Jalen Hurts and that offense stays healthy, ooh, I don't know, Matt. That's gonna be kind of tough. Gonna
I
have to
will
probably
say
figure
though,
it out.
it was a bad defensive game for the Packers. I mean, I don't think it's anyone's secret that hey, Jalen Hurts can run. Maybe you should account for him a little bit better.
Oh man,
Like
he was just
it was
what did he
just
have?
like
A
the
hundred
classic
plus in the first quarter?
something like that. I think. I mean, he had 157 for the game, which is ridiculous for a quarterback. It's like the classic quarterback, right? They're in the pocket. Oh, nothing's open. I'm just gonna run. You can't play man coverage the whole time with no spy, right? Or your edge guys got to keep their contain and keep them in the pocket.
Yeah, and then
It's just
they just ran all
that's a
over him.
lack
It
of
was
defense. Yep.
it was just too easy. I mean, I guess though for the Packers, there's some bright spot, right? In Jordan Love, another dark side in Aaron Rodgers. That maybe this is it for him. He looked pretty banged up. He was trying to gut it out. I think you could kind of tell, but so I'll never knock Rodgers' effort, Aaron Rodgers' effort, or anything. But maybe this is time to it's time for Green Bay to pass the torch. Um, with this loss, I'm thinking they're effectively
Yeah,
out of the
they're done.
playoffs. They're done now, so maybe it's just time to see what you got in Jordan Love, right? Let Aaron Rodgers rest up healthy, and you can use these next games to assess Jordan Love. Is he the next guy or not? Because if he's not, you still got Rodgers for another year, right? So I would say just let Jordan Love start the rest of the year. Christian Watson, that guy, I don't get it, but he is just a dynamic touchdown machine at this point, right? He just caught that was like a Tyreek Hill esque kind of catch a 10-yard in over the middle and just run
Yeah, he
past
can run.
everyone. Oh, that's kind of
Yep.
that's kind of scary. He could be a sneaky wide receiver for them going forward. And maybe that'll be the new duel. The
Yep.
Watson Love
Roger,
duel.
it's the Rogers to Adams bridge to Love and Watson.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that dude is fast. But anyway, there's a lot of good games. Couldn't get to them all, but it's the season's getting interesting. It's like every game is one score. It's red zone is just going bananas. So, well, we'll come back to more NFL stuff next week, but let's take a quick break here, Matt. Get into some college stuff in our second half. So stick around. We'll be right back.
So Hawaii. Oh,
Oh, my bad. Anyway, yeah, sorry. Gotta get the clock running here, Matt. We gotta go. Um, anyway, we're back with college football now. So let's start off with, I guess we'll start off with Hawaii. Um, we've been following them all year. It went better than expected. One more win, maybe, than we expected this year. We had 3 wins. Unfortunately, could not win our last game against Chevin, against San Jose State. But let's take a moment here to reflect, Matt. So on the season, 1 through 10, how successful was Timmy Chang's first year? I'll give it. I guess I'll give it a. I'm gonna give it a 5. Um, on it, this is a scale where 5 is average, right? When you go like 1 through 10, 5 is average. So it's more or less how I expected the season to go. I'll just say that obviously there were a lot of negatives, more so on the field, right? We saw the defense at times just not good. Our offense at times just no explosion, no threat whatsoever in that early half. Picked it up in the second half, though, I will say. But to me, the reason that this season was such a success, and we talked about it last week on the pod as well, is the connection that Timmy had with the players this year. You could tell that they really were playing hard for him every game, even to the end. Even this last game, I didn't see too much of it, but they fought hard for him, and they didn't play perfectly. Granted, Timmy probably still has a little bit more to go coaching wise with penalties and just figuring out what schemes they want to run on both sides of the ball, figuring out what works. But I will say, compared to last season with Graham, and we were hearing all these rumors that the locker room is divided. They hate Todd Graham. They don't like the coaching staff. The coaching staff is, you know, all these players are wanting to transfer and did end up transferring, right? So it's good to see at least the culture seems to be established. Uh, Moving forward, it would be nice to see some of that culture turn into keeping some of Hawaii's key recruits home, going out, getting more recruits that will help benefit the system. So that's why I'm at a 5. The football stuff we kind of knew was going to be rough, right? But I'm glad they played hard the whole year, and I'm glad it seems like none of the players hate Timmy. So I'll call it a. I'm giving it a 5. That's my ranking.
Okay, so I'm a little more negative than you, so I'm gonna go at a 4. So they got 3 wins and one for good luck. So I'm gonna go 4. But the thing that kind of stands out to me, and I've kind of talked about this on the podcast, is more in terms of the football part. And I think Timmy, I will say he's done a pretty good job in the locker room. Like you said, it seems like the guys respect him. I personally kind of struggle to, feel the oomph in his voice and his passion as a coach. Like as a player, I would want to hear like some fire. Like I want you to get me ready to like run through a wall, like to hit somebody. Like this is football. Like I need to be fired up to play. And I just sometimes when he talks, it just doesn't it doesn't motivate
Yeah,
me.
actually,
So I
I
think
kind of know what you mean.
he needs to, find that voice in the locker room. Like that's his next step to me. But we can he can work on that. He can work on that in the offseason. But as far as the football aspect, and the only reason why it was, I would say, a little disappointing, that's why I'm saying a 4, not a 5, is gosh, that sometimes it's the defense. To me, it's the defense and the run defense. It's so frustrating to me when teams just run over you. Like they just get whatever they want on the ground. And to me, that's the easiest way to beat someone. And that's probably what we're going to talk about in our next college football game right after this one. But you cannot just let a team run all over you for an entire season, or teams run all over you for an entire season. Like, if I'm going to get beat, I personally want to get beat by the quarterback, playing a good game and just say, you know what, you beat me. You had to at least throw the ball, and the guy had to catch it. Had to put a little effort into it. But when you just get gashed on the ground, don't make the quarterback really do anything. Receivers aren't engaged. It's just a running back tryout almost, or like a showcase. It's embarrassing to me. That's so embarrassing. It started with Vanderbilt. It went on. Obviously, Michigan was a nightmare. And to me, that I'm still stuck on that New Mexico State game. That game is so sour to me because we could have beat them. We should have beat them. We probably would beat them 4 out of 5 times. And that was the one time that they would have got us. And it's just the lack of adjustments that Jacob Yorl and the defensive side of the ball is they're just not making. I don't get it. You got to stop the run. That's priority number 1 in football to me on defense. So just the ability to not make that adjustment is critical. Offensively, I know Timmy doesn't have all the recruits. This is not his guys. It's Graham's team, but there's just a lot of easy, things that are just not being executed. And it's just simple pitch and catch things. It happened in the San Jose State game. Jalen Walthall is a guy who's, kind of a victim of drops, but they happen. We're all human, but for it to happen so much, and it's like not those like 50-50 drops. It's a 50-50 ball. Sometimes the defender's just better than you. But when you're wide open and you're a D1 athlete, you got gloves on your hands, and then that's what you practice doing 5-6 days a week. You got to make that play. I don't care. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's snowing. That's your job in a sense. So you got to make those routine plays. And UH, they kick themselves in the foot when they do that all the time. So just shoring up the fundamentals to me is what I want to see. I needed to see some improvement, and they kind of did, but not enough to say that it was a completely successful first year. But I will say I do see some glimmer of hope. So um, I think Timmy obviously is going to have a lot more expectations in year two. I will say that. So maybe instead of 3 wins, we can go for like 5.
Let's just say let's just go bowling, right? Why not? I think it's definitely a possibility. I'm looking back at our schedule right now. The San Diego State game, we lost 16-14. Definitely that was a winnable game. Colorado State, another really close one, 17-13. And you could argue, I mean, the Wyoming and Utah State game, we only lost by a touchdown, right? So those are 4 one-score games that, I mean, really those other two were really winnable. The San Diego State, Colorado State games, we, you
Mhm.
know, had a chance to win. So that's potentially 5 wins right there that slipped out. Could have been up to 6, maybe 7. So, we were close at times this year, but like you said, the late game execution, decision making, play calling, time management, still kind of a struggle. Special teams, kind of a struggle. So yeah, I would like to see just it shored up, just the mental mistakes, right? That's kind of what you want to see. Like
Exactly.
you said, yeah, like you said, the physical stuff, athletes, we know you're not perfect. We're all human. And so things are going to happen, but it's the mental things that I would like to see cleaned up execution wise going into next year. So, but just real fast to touch on the thing you said about the fire in his voice. I get what you mean, because it it's like he's just saying all the right things, right? He's saying the right things, but I guess it's more, I don't know if he doesn't feel like it's his guys, so he didn't want to go too hard, right? But I get what you mean by not having that like fire per se that
Hmm.
makes you want to run through a wall, like we say it, right? So I mean, I hopefully that is something he can learn, right? It's his first year coaching.
He
He
has to learn that
he
though,
needs
to me.
yeah, oh yeah, he definitely has to learn it. But he went through a lot this year. I'm sure he was very stressed, and so Timmy,
You could see it.
I hope just take a week, just like sleep, coach, please, just like get 8 hours a night for a week straight. Like I think that'll do wonders. After Saturday, take like 7 days, 10 days, sleep, get full 8 hours every day. You can still do work if you want. Hey, congrats to you, but just get your sleep now, because you earned some nap time and some sleep time. Full 8 hours will do you wonders. So, and then after that, you can get into recruiting and do that. But you deserve a little time to just sleep, man. We could tell you were tired. We could tell you're working late nights. Oh, I felt bad. Every press conference, I'm like, man, he's just like going through it. He must just be running through caffeine like crazy. But I mean, I guess it's kind of good. You kind of want to see someone working hard, right? Um, but year two, Timmy, we'll be back to talk UH football next season, and we're hoping to see some improvements. So let's get to our other college football game. Your
Uh,
other team that you root for. I guess I am the designated Oregon State liaison for this show. So shout out to Wes, Blaze, and Lucas, and all you other Beaver fans out there who took home the Civil War game this past weekend, coming back down 21 points in the second half to beat Oregon in Corvallis. So it must have been even sweeter. I know they only had half the stadium, but it was loud. You could hear it on TV. They were saying it throughout the game. So let's just get into the game, Matt. Personally, I think we were all watching the game together, right? We all thought it was over. I thought it was over for sure. I was just gonna go watch UH football. And then you know what? Oh, 31-17, third quarter. I guess there's still chance. And then the wheels fell off, Matt. So I mean, a lot of things went wrong, but from a Ducks fan perspective, let's hear your you can vent it out, you can complain about it. If you don't want to talk about it that much, it's fine. But what was your take on that game?
Well, first off, because I'm a man of my word, so shout out to the Oregon State Beavers and their great win in the Civil War. So congrats, Blaze. Congrats. I'm a man of my word, so I'm giving you the shout out, you and your Oregon State football team. Congrats, congrats. That's all I gotta say. But back to my point of view, and probably from a Ducks point of view, this was probably the worst loss in the Civil War, at least that I can remember. I don't know, maybe in the 50s or 60s they had one, but in recent time, this is bad. This is bad. It looks really bad. And it was like you said, it was just the snowball effect and just the downward spiral. And what was I talking about with UH, right? What was the thing that drove me crazy? Rush defense. What in the heck was Oregon doing? I mean, absurdly terrible defensive game plan, right? Dan Lanning, you're the head coach. You're a defensive coach by nature. You coached the defending national champs, probably had one of the greatest defenses in college football history, and you allowed this to happen under your name. That is terrible, terrible. And those like 268 yards of rushing. And I saw the stat on ESPN too. They had 205 yards before contact. Contact! Like they didn't even touch him. Like easy 10 yards a pop almost of chunk plays. They're getting big runs. And oh, by the way, they completed 6 passes the entire game. 6. They had a freshman quarterback. He's not even their starter. Nolan is the starter. He's injured. He's out for the season. You got a freshman quarterback in the Civil War. How do you not let him take over the game, especially when you're down? They were down 21 in the second half. You would think it would be time for them, to put it in the QB's hands and let's see what he's got. I know he can't pass. He couldn't pass. He threw a pick that game too. He was 6 for 13, right? That's not going to light anybody up. I don't think that would scare me if I was a DB. I'll be like, yeah, throw me the ball. I'm going to get a pick. But the front seven for Oregon, that's the strength of the team. And they were God mighty awful, right? Noah Sewell, preseason All-American linebacker. Justin Flo, all conference preseason. What are you guys hello, you guys are linebackers. You guys are supposed to stop the run, and you guys know what Oregon State was going to do anyway, and you still couldn't stop them. Front seven, I mean, defensive line too. No sacks. And granted, it's hard to sack a quarterback when they only throw it 13 times. But my goodness, just a terrible defensive showing. And I don't know what was worse, the defense or the actual coaching itself and the decisions. Because I want to say they went, what, 0 for, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Were they 0 for 5 on fourth downs, Greg? I mean, it was terrible. Just a terrible, terrible decision. And to me, the some of the decisions that they did, you know, 4th and 1, they have Blake, well, not Blake. Bo Nix at quarterback. We all know he's hurt, and you call a read option for him when he's on one leg.
That was
Like,
brutal.
that is
That one
what?
was awful.
What? Like, why? Like, 4th and 1. Trust your big boys up front. Give Bucky Irvin the ball and just let him plow through if you're gonna
Well,
go for
yeah,
it. First off,
but
I think
why
you
are
should have
you
punted the
going? Yeah,
ball.
exactly. There we go.
But if you're gonna go, which I don't agree with, why are you putting the ball in the legs of a quarterback whose ankle is not 100%? That makes no sense to me. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, they muffed the punt. Stuff like that happens, and it's probably just because of the snowball effect. We're just playing bad. But to me, what was really frustrating too is early in the game, right? We were all talking, it's 4th and 3. We're in field goal range. We got Camden Lewis. He's been money all year. Let's take the points, right? Why are we going to pass up points early in the game? And look, that came back to haunt us. And I was telling myself, like, I really hope this doesn't come back to hurt us. And it did. We lost by 4. And let's just do some math. We kick the field goal. We get 3 more points. And on the last drive, we needed a touchdown. We were at 1st and goal from the 4. So worst case, we could kick the field goal. We go up, and maybe a miracle happens. Maybe Oregon State fumbles the ball or something because they're going to run anyway. But maybe they fumble. We don't know. We don't even have that situation because we didn't have the lead or have the chance to kick a field goal late in the game. Like the absurd fourth. It's like I was telling you this too. It's like Brandon, or maybe it was Blaze. Like Dan Lanning looked like Brandon Staley to me last year, just recklessly going for it on 4th down, like no conscience. Like, just
Yeah. 0 for
what's the
5.
logic?
That's pretty rough.
Kick the field goal, take the points early, put the pressure on Oregon State, right? They're the underdogs. Make them feel that, hey, yeah, we're here. You know, we're here. We're going to control the game. Don't not get it. And then you give them all the momentum. Like, and then let's go back to that last drive because to me, this is what was really frustrating too. And this is what you got to call knowing your players. You got 1st and goal on the 4. 1st and goal on the 4. So you would think, all right, I was thinking, okay, they're going to score here. 2, 3, even 4 plays. We're going to score. And you run, what, 3 times with Jordan James, who's your 3rd string running back. And oh, by the way, he's your smallest running back. Like, why? Why are you using your small guy, your in essence a 3rd down back on the goal line when you got Bucky Irvin, you got Noah Whittington, 2 bigger guys, more physical runners? Like, muscle up. Like, why? Like, it was absurd to me. And then on 3rd down, oh yeah, or 4th down, oh yeah, let's bring in Bucky Irvin when we're gonna pass. Maybe that's the time to bring in Jordan James when you're forced to pass, but not on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. Just poor coaching. It, I don't even know. I don't even want to talk about it already. It was bad. It was bad. Congrats, Blaze. But yep, officially a disappointing first season for Dan Lanning. I will say that. Very disappointing season because you had everything in the palm of your hands. You had control to go to the playoffs, but you couldn't beat Washington at home, and you couldn't beat your rivals when you're up 21 late in the 3rd. I don't care. That's a very disappointing first season for Dan Lanning. If this happens again next year, fire him. You can't. You can. This is Oregon. It's not time to mess around. It's not like we're getting. It's not like we're not right? You're Oregon. You Phil Knight. You got the you got Nike. You got the brand. You're gonna get recruits. You can produce at least a Pac-12 title, or at least play in the game, and hell, at least beat Oregon State. But yeah, not a good look for Dan Lanning, and a very, very disappointing ending to the season. I didn't care what they do in the bowl game. Terrible. My
Yeah.
only silver lining is maybe Bo Nix comes back because I think he has some redemption. just because of the injury, kind of set them back a little bit. But outside of that, yeah, very sour feeling to the season so far to end.
Yeah, tough one for Ducks fans for sure, but you gotta feel good if you're an Oregon State fan. You proved you can hang with the big boys, and you know that Oregon State. I don't know how many starters they're gonna lose, but you know they can hang. They can hang with some of the big boys. So maybe this is good, a good step for Oregon State, moving forward, just with their program in general. So I mean, they're 16, 15, and ranked 15 and 16 now to end the year. So
In the AP poll.
yeah, so they're right next to each other. I'm sure Oregon State's happy about that, and Oregon is just sick to their stomach for sure. But it was an exciting game. But man, you just got to be able to catch the ball, punt the ball. uh,
You just gotta take points when you get the opportunity
that
to.
too,
Sometimes,
that too.
just common
Uh,
sense, guys. Come on.
yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the other college football stuff. Um, so Michigan versus Ohio State. Michigan won last year. I was not expecting Michigan to win this year at all,
Yep.
but you know, maybe it's the rise of JJ McCarthy, and this has got to hurt CJ Stroud's draft stock, right? For sure. Um, it was kind of debated, right? Him or Bryce going at number one next year. Might be leaning a little more towards Bryce now after this loss, but yeah, just I mean, I know Michigan's defense is tough, right? But I was just surprised at how many explosive plays, and that was kind of what everyone was talking about, right? It was the big plays that Michigan had without their Heisman hopeful Blake Corum. So probably just an even more impressive win for Michigan and an even more deflating loss for uh, Ohio State. So shakes up the poll because Ohio State's out now. They're number 5. And so remind me, are they still playing in the title game though? They're not, right? So their only hope at this point is if Michigan and or USC loses.
Or TC. I would say Michigan because I think they released the college football playoff poll tomorrow officially.
Right.
So it's going to be Georgia, Michigan. I think those two guys are. You could argue they're kind of locks already. Even if they lost their championship games, I think they would get in. But the real question is, okay, TCU and USC. They're probably going to be 3 and 4. But if they lose, if those two guys lose their championship games, then who's gonna get in next? Right?
Cuz
Ohio State is probably
mhm.
gonna be there. Alabama is just
I can't
lingering
believe they're
there
still alive.
with 2 losses. They're probably gonna be 6 if I had to guess. So they might need a little more help.
Well, the other question too is, does Ohio State drop out of the polls? You think? I mean,
I
they were
think
the
they're out
2
of the top
seed.
4.
They were
Yeah.
the 2 seed, but they lost to the 3 seed. So does that bump them to the 4 and just swap TCU, you know, to the
I I
3, Ohio
think
State to the 4,
I think the real question is where does the committee rank Ohio State and Alabama? Because I think one of those,
and USC?
well, both of them, yeah. So I think USC is going to be 4 if I had to guess. TCU is going to be 3 because they were at 4. So everyone just bumps up. But then Ohio State lost. So do you put them at 5? Do you put them at 6? But it's Alabama. They just came off a good win against Auburn in the Iron Bowl. But they do have 2 losses. So it's like,
I think Ohio State's got to be the 5 then.
I think so too.
They're just praying for someone to lose.
Yeah. And you pray that USC or TCU loses. And then if a miracle happens and they both lose, then Alabama would get in,
Oh my
which would be
god.
like,
Could you
I don't
imagine
know.
how pissed everyone would be if TCU and USC loses and
But
it's
yeah, I will say though, like USC, Utah is not an easy matchup for
no.
them.
Utah's
Utah
good.
is dangerous. and they can run, and USC is not good defensively.
No, they're not. They're
So
not
I
good at
think
all.
Utah is not gonna. That's a tough matchup for USC. I think Utah can win that game. TCU, I truthfully I don't really know too much about them. It's the Big 12. They're probably gonna win, but USC is it's not a lock just yet. They're gonna need Caleb Williams to deliver a Heisman performance again
Yep.
for them
And
to win.
that'll lock his Heisman. If he wins, if they win the Pac-12, he's the Heisman for sure. I think
Yeah, I think so too.
you can book it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Ooh, yeah. The CFP poll, I'm looking forward to because I have this weird feeling they might not put USC in. I don't know why. I have a feeling they might have to make USC win to put them in.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
they get
Well,
they win, they're in. But if
yeah.
they lose, they're out. To me,
All right. Well, I guess we will see how it all plays out then. All right. Well, we'll wrap college football there. I guess we can talk a little bit about college basketball. We don't do that too much. And we especially don't talk about Portland,
our
our alma
school,
mater, our alma mater's college basketball team, who I don't even know who the coach is. Haven't seen who the players
Shanty
are yet.
Legions.
I have no idea who that is. But
He's a good coach. He came from Eastern Washington, though.
he's doing a great job. We can tell you that. Uh, they're in the Phil Knight Classic. They play that every year. Don't really pay attention to Portland basketball too much, because they're not typically very good. But they hung in there against North Carolina, right? They only lost by what 8 points, I think, and they lost at the last second to Michigan State, who's ranked 12th. So this team is hanging around with the top dogs in the nation, right? Maybe this could be a year, Matt, a year of surprises for Portland basketball. And I will be following them more closely this year just because we look impressive. So the Terry
Hey,
Porter years are behind us
yep.
now. I've still got your jersey somewhere, Terry Porter, as the Portland coach. Just didn't work out. But yeah, go Skolits, man.
Skolits. And you forgot to mention, we beat Villanova. They
Oh,
went
that's
to the
right.
Final Four last year, and we beat them by double digits.
So this team is looking good.
This
I
team
gotta
is
go
good.
check in because I don't even know who their players are or what's so good about our team. But I will be watching this year. So we got two college basketball teams to track.
Yep.
So I had to shout out to our pilots. And since we're shouting out the pilots, good luck to our men's soccer team. Because are we do we play yet? I know we made it. We made it to the Elite Eight of okay. So our game is their next game is Saturday in the Elite Eight. So Portland men's soccer. Good luck, boys. Uh win this, we're in the final four. All right. So we got some Portland pride this
We're a
year.
soccer school, so I mean,
Oh yeah, we're a soccer school.
yeah.
But yeah, good luck. That would be sick if we make it to the final four. So yeah. All right. Well, good luck, boys. Uh, let's get to our other college basketball team that we follow, UH. So didn't win the what classic was that? The earlier
The
one.
Rainbow
We didn't
Classic.
win the Rainbow Classic, Lost Yale, but we did win the North Shore Classic. I don't know how good the teams were per se. I didn't really watch it. I know we won. Did you watch any of the games, Matt? Maybe you can
I watched both actually a little bit,
break give us
but
some breakdown for these.
yeah. Well, first game we played Sacramento State. Don't know anybody on that team, but when I realized who's on that team, it was a familiar foe or opponent. So we did win 74 to 61. But Sacramento State, they have a big man, Cameron McCrae. Last year he played for UC Riverside, so he knows UH, and he was a menace, like on UC Riverside. Not he's not talented. He's just big, like too big for our bigs to guard. Like he just clogs the paint up. Like he's not fast. Like he's almost like a really, really bad Jokic. Like he can kind of pass. He's so slow, but he's just so much bigger than everybody else. It's not like he's going up against, Joel Embiid or guys like that. He's going up against, 6'9" Bernardo de Silva. Like it's just not the same. But the fact that they were able to win that game and Bernardo de Silva was kind of the catalyst in that game. He played well along with Noel Coleman and really took over the game. So to see an aggressive Bernardo de Silva was really, really good to see. I think he had like 20 points, but we took care of business and then we played Texas State in the championship. We won 72 to 65. I think that's a good win, honestly. Texas State is a pretty quality team. They consistently make the tournament every year. They're always like the 16 seed. They're either in like that first four in, they play the 16 seed, the opposing 16 seed, and then they get killed by a number one seed. But they're always in the dance. So anytime you play a team that makes the tournament, it's a good challenge. And for them to win this game, 72 to 65, really, really encouraging because we saw them against Yale, right, in a close game, and we didn't close it out. We didn't execute down the stretch. But this game was close down the stretch. Texas State was, kind of just hanging around, like, they just wouldn't go away. But, UH did what they had to do. They held on for the win. And, you got guys like Noel Coleman. We already know what you're going to get from him. He was outstanding. Bernardo de Silva, again, with another solid game. And I gotta say, the guy that's really blossoming a little bit this tournament is Harry Ruliadev, their backup big. He's starting to play really well. I can see a lot of potential in his game. He can step out, shoot the three, kind of like a pick and pop guy from the 3-point line. And he's got some skill underneath the basket. I think he just needs to get a little stronger. He's a true freshman, so got to get some size in there. But I like what I'm seeing from him, and I will say, Jovan has been playing pretty well these past couple games. So we definitely need him to play well because that's probably the weak link uh, on the team. But he needs to just stay the course. Don't do anything stupid because he can do that sometimes, which is what really frustrates us. But Javon's been playing pretty well the past couple games. So overall, a very successful tournament. And we got a game this Wednesday. I might be there. We'll see. But now it's about let's get ready for that Diamond Head Classic. That's the big one. So good tournament for UH, and they're 5-1. That's good. That's a good start.
We will take that
I'll
all
take
day.
that.
So we got two basketball teams on the come up right now
Exactly.
that we can look forward to. Uh, okay, Matt. Well, let's get to this little, I guess, short segment. Can end our show on this. So we're just gonna play a little buy or sell on a couple topics regarding our teams. So first topic, University of Portland basketball will be top 4 in the conference this year. I am buying
I'm
for
buying.
sure.
I'm buying.
I mean,
Yes.
usually the top guys are BYU and St. Mary's, right? So if we're
And
hanging around with the
Gonzaga.
big boys, oh yeah. I mean, obviously, okay, sorry, yeah, Gonzaga. So we could be that fourth seed. So I could definitely see that happening. Even Gonzaga this year, maybe we give them a run for their money,
Hmm.
right? That would be that would be fun to watch. I hope we do because they've been big brother to the whole conference for a long time. So it would be nice to get one against Gonzaga. But hey, top 4, I could see that happening. That'd be nice. Um, okay, next one. Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFC at this point in the season. I'm gonna have to sell on that. I got the Eagles slightly ahead of them, but it's close. But I'm still gonna have to go with the Eagles. I think I trust that offense a little bit more than I do the Cowboys right now.
I respectfully disagree. I'm buying all the way for obvious reasons. But they're playing good. They got a defense, they got offense, and hey, if Dak Prescott plays good, sky's the limit for this team. And I said I trust him more than Jalen Hurts in the playoffs.
See, I
So
thought you worded this question so that you wouldn't be biased for once. Like you'd actually admit that at this point the
no,
Eagles are a little better.
I'm not a biased fan. I'm just saying what I see with what I'm watching on TV and what I see with these teams. And I watch this team closely, and I think they're the best team on paper in the conference as of right now. The record doesn't show it, but we're the most complete team in the NFC right now.
I'm not even gonna try. Okay, whatever. Next one. Tua is currently okay. I will say same thing at this point in the season, a top 10 quarterback in the league. I'm gonna have to go with yes. I mean, they're 8-3. In games that he's started and finished this year, they are undefeated. So, I mean, when you win, I think you're a top 10 quarterback. Guys that typically are ahead of him, caught some of them have been on a little bit of a slide this year. I mean, like even Lamar, I mean, the Ravens are winning, but are he hasn't been playing his best football per se. I think I'd take Tua over a lot of guys right now. Obviously, Mahomes, Allen, probably Burrow. Those guys are still ahead of Tua on my list. But I mean, Brady isn't playing too well. Rodgers hasn't been playing well this year. So I think I'm taking Tua as a top 10 guy for sure.
Yeah, I think I would buy that this year, but maybe in the whole grand scheme, you take the whole career. I can't say that yet. But this year, yeah, he's a top 10 QB for sure.
Yeah. All right. This is an interesting one. Will Mariota and the Falcons win the NFC South? I don't know. This is going to be close.
I'm
Uh,
selling. I still got Brady.
okay.
Gotta
Uh,
trust the GOAT.
I want to buy, but I'm gonna have to sell here. Oh shoot, I guess. Well, you know what? We'll end it on that. We're out of time. Matt. Oh, that was an interesting one. That was a nice little game. But why don't you just real quick give us our sports fact and we'll call it a pod.
All right. On November 28th, 1989, Ricky Henderson, the speedster, signed with the Oakland A's for a record 3 million per year. How times have changed, right?
Yeah.
So
And two
the money
things.
is coming.
Oakland signed a record deal. That's crazy. Two, $3 million.
Yep.
So all right. Well, we're gonna end any second here now. But thank you everyone for listening. It was a good pod. We'll be back next week.